Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? Well, join me today as my special guest is French food blogger Bea Caillet, and Bea also has some special gluten-free recipes to share. She's going to share those with us. You know, January 8th was National Gluten-Free Day. So we're celebrating all things gluten-free, from delicious food and baked goods to the amazing community of people who support each other on their journey to being gluten-free. And I wanted to share a quick fact with you before we kick off the interview. Did you know that an estimated 1 in 133 Americans has celiac disease? It is a serious autoimmune disorder triggered by gluten. That's really a lot of people who need to be gluten-free for their health. Really a staggering statistic. But it's important to remember that going gluten-free is not just a fad diet. It actually is a real medical necessity for some people. And for those who choose to go gluten-free, there can be many benefits. Some people report feeling more energetic, having improved digestion, and even clearing up their skin problems. Plus, the world of gluten-free food has come a long way in recent years. There are now so many delicious and nutritious options available, from breads to pastas to pizzas and desserts. You can even find gluten-free beer and wine. I remember when gluten-free first started being introduced to the world, and I could not find my favorite foods that were really eatable, such as pasta and breads. I don't have to eat gluten-free, but I do enjoy eating gluten-free from time to time, and there just were no palatable pastas or breads. But today you can find almost anything gluten-free, and you know, it's still they're really good, and I would have no objections to substituting a gluten-free pasta or a gluten-free pizza or a gluten-free bread that is that's on the market now. There are definitely many to choose from. So, and I'm also a big fan of gluten-free pizza. So, you know, there's the cauliflower crust pizza, and there's a lot of other options that you can choose from and have a really delicious gluten-free pizza, as well as gluten-free desserts, gluten-free breads. The possibilities are endless. But you know, National Gluten-Free Day isn't just about the food. It's also about raising awareness about celiac disease and gluten intolerance and supporting the gluten-free community. There are so many amazing resources available for people who are gluten-free, from support groups to online communities to websites and blogs. So if you're thinking about going gluten-free, or even just trying some of the gluten-free options out there, I would really encourage you to do your research, talk to your medical professional if you think that you are allergic or highly sensitive to gluten-free. There's really a lot of information out there, so it's important to find out what works best for you. And finally, I want to say to all of our gluten-free listeners out there that you're not alone. There's a whole community of you out there. And also wanted to invite my listeners to share any gluten-free recipes with us. And you can hashtag the Maria Liberati Show and share your gluten-free recipe or photos of your gluten-free recipe. You can also comment in the comment sections on the podcast, on my blog at themarialiberatishow.com, and also marialiberati.com. So happy National Gluten-Free Day to everyone, and stay with me for this interview with Bea Caillet. Today I have as a special guest Bea Caillet, and she is a blogger and expert on many things about natural healing and natural foods. But today we're going to be talking about one of her areas of expertise, which is gluten-free baking. Is that right, Bea?
Yeah, well, first of all, Maria, thank you so much for having me on your show today. I'm very excited to join you.
I
And yeah, gluten-free baking has become one of my area of expertise.
expertise. And I just want to mention to my listeners, because I always tell everyone to travel with me. And today we are traveling to Paris with Bea. And she's told me she's like right in front of the Eiffel Tower. So we're also
Yeah.
traveling today. Bea, how did you get into? I know you have a blog, which actually tell everyone the name of your blog so they can look that up.
Well, so the name of my blog is Go Healthy with B or Bea. B is spelled Bea, short for Beatrice. Well, I first started a gluten-free diet back in 2018, January 2018. Because a functional medicine doctor prescribed me a gluten-free diet after having some blood tests done on me, and it was in order to reduce the inflammation in my body that was there because of some autoimmune condition and also a lot of health problems that I had.
Uh-huh.
So from one day to the next, I just had to suddenly remove gluten, cow dairy, and also egg and yeast, if I recall correctly. Yeah, and well, technically, you announced me that late November 2017, but of course, with all the holidays, I couldn't. So I waited January on my New Year's resolution of
Was
2018 that okay, I'm going to jump right in and I'm going to remove all of these foods from my diet. And for a French girl, well, especially when you come from a French family who is obsessed with food, it was very, very difficult in the
I
beginning.
I can just imagine. I can imagine. But so how did you so you started did you start experimenting with your own recipes and trying to find ways to do things?
Oh yeah, I started, but it was a total mess. Pretty much everything in the beginning went to the trash because it was a very, very huge, I was, it's very different from the
Yes.
baking with gluten.
Yes.
In the beginning it was all a mess and a lot of mistakes. And I actually learned a lot from American blogs because, well, we are very, very behind when it comes to gluten free and many other things free in the French, resources and
Yes.
even French restaurants and everything. We are very, very behind. Even in Europe, like I know that Italians are way ahead of us. So I learned a lot from American bloggers. And then when finally I kind of got the hang of it, I realized how it really, I understood how it functions. Yeah, then yeah, I started creating my own recipes.
Huh? Yes, and just for the listeners out there, if anyone's going to Italy, I do know I was very always very surprised how in Italy they are really into the gluten-free. And if you go to like the large supermarkets, there are aisles of all kinds of gluten-free products, and that's from pizza, pasta, and at first the products that were the flours and things were not that great, but actually recently I've tried some products and they are actually, I'm sure it's the same thing. many people have experimented and all that. And pastas and pizzas and breads and things are just really, really good. And I'm sure you found some things, recipes. Now,
Yeah.
I was told, do you do a sourdough bread? Is that correct?
No, well, bread is not really my area of expertise.
Okay.
Well, I need to jump into it maybe
Uh-huh.
one day if I find the time to experiment.
Yes.
But right now it's not. Well, I'm really into baking desserts and stuff.
Ah, well,
It
that's good.
has always been my well, what I really liked before going gluten free. So that's why
Yes. I
I
think we're going to have a chef that does this sourdough gluten-free bread. Um, Shortly, like in the next few weeks. And that's what I was thinking of too. So I wasn't sure what your specialty is. So, what types of desserts, or can you tell me like the types of flours? Because I know there's a lot of different flours out there that people are using for desserts, recipes you find online, or even packaged products with gluten free. What types of flours are you using?
Well, my favorite ones are almond flour, but for those who are nut free, because there are also a lot of people
Yes.
who they have to be nut free.
Yes.
Tiger nut flour is a good option. It's one-to-one swap between almonds and tiger nuts. So I've created a ton of tiger nut flours recipes because they are AIP compliant, which is the autoimmune protocol for those who are following this protocol. And so I really enjoy baking with almond flour. And for those who are not grain free, only gluten free, I really love rice flour,
Hmm.
brown rice flour,
Yes.
because I really enjoy the neutral taste of it.
Hmm.
Well, you need to learn how to work with it because it's a very crumbly flour, so it works completely differently from a wheat flour. So absolutely impossible to swap
Uh-huh.
between the two. So,
Uh-huh.
but I like the neutral taste of it,
Uh-huh.
and also which one. Sometimes I will use just a little bit. I will mix a little bit of buckwheat flour
Uh-huh.
uh, to give a little bit more of flavor because
Uh-huh.
it's a very strong flavor. So some people won't like it, like me, won't
Uh-huh.
like to use for example, for to make a banana bread. I will mix both brown rice flour and buckwheat flour
Oh,
to
wow.
have something that is a little bit more with flavor,
Uh-huh.
and but not too much that you really don't taste the other ingredients and you really get on only the buckwheat.
Yes.
So and there, yeah, that's probably the one that I use the most. I
Uh-huh.
kind of stay away by choice from flour mixes because I want to keep control of what I'm using. Because
Hmm.
in flour mixes, well, they will just put the list of ingredients,
Hmm.
but we don't exactly know how much they use, what ingredients, the quantities they use in them, and also a lot of the mixes contain guar gum or xanthan gum, and
Yes.
I'm not super fond of that.
Okay.
I know that a lot of gluten-free people, those who are intolerant to gluten, are also intolerant to guar gum, especially.
Oh.
So that's one of my doctors told me about
Uh-huh.
that, and so I want to keep really with. As little processed food or prepackaged food as possible. So I rather use separate flours and make my own mixes. And
Hmm.
usually I don't mix a ton of flours.
Hmm.
I will just use one or two, and that's it.
Hmm. So tell us the types of, so you mainly do desserts. What types of desserts are you doing? Muffins or cakes or
Yeah, well,
all of these?
if you start googling my blog "Go Healthy with Bee," you will automatically get pumpkin muffins that
Oh,
will
sounds
that
great.
will pop immediately,
Yes.
and banana bread, which is kind of, it's funny because I'm completely French. But what I mean is both my parents are French. I
Yes.
was born and raised in Paris, France.
Uh-huh.
So I'm absolutely not American, even though I absolutely love America. Well, so banana bread and muffins are definitely American, much more than French. So for me,
Yes.
it's very funny that my blog is very popular for those two very American recipes rather than
Yes.
for
Yes.
French recipes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I know in Italy they're crazy about muffins too, and they have wonderful pastries there too, but everybody loves muffins. So
Yeah.
tell us, is there any type of a recipe that we might think of it like being a very French dessert that you've created a gluten-free version?
Well, it's not exactly gluten-free because it doesn't contain gluten. The traditional recipe doesn't
Um,
contain gluten. So this one is also dairy-free and egg-free. It's vegan. But one of well, my friends and everyone around me that has who have tested it really love it. It's my chocolate mousse.
oh,
Uh,
oh, that sounds yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so I just use aquafaba. So
Uh-huh.
it's the chickpea juice,
Oh,
and
yes.
then and just chocolate, and then that's it. And it's like a cloud. You can, it's very light, and so all the people around me they're obsessed with my chocolate mousse.
Oh my goodness. And there's no sugar
Well,
in it.
I don't add any more sugar than what is
What is
already
already in
contained
there.
in the
Yes,
chocolate.
that's
So
great. Yes, and that's really enough. I know some people add just too much sugar when other things in the product are sweetening it already. Oh, that
yeah.
sounds wonderful. That sounds great. So that is really a healthy version of chocolate mousse.
Yeah, well, because the traditional one will use eggs, of course, and
Yes,
also some of the time they will also add some butter and
yes,
well, oat punch. So and also apart from the fact that healthy or not, I mean, usually it's more like heavy on the stomach. But
yes.
when they do taste mine, oh, that's very light.
Yes, yes. And
So
it's
that's
wonderful because I think people don't realize when I'm sure you know this, when you eat something that's really made of healthy ingredients, it makes you feel good also. So I'm sure if someone ate the chocolate mousse that you make and it feels light, they feel good. When you eat a traditional chocolate mousse with butter and or if it has cream or, all the dairy stuff in it, eggs, you're going to start feeling really heavy and weighted down. So, that
yeah.
also just for that, it's great. Well, that sounds great. So, B, tell us, are you planning a book or anything in the future?
Yeah, there's a book in the oven right now.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it's well, the contract has been signed, but I don't have any
Not like
the
date. You don't have the
the date
date
for
yet.
the publishing. So
That's
my
okay.
editor, it will be a baking book for kids. It's
Oh, great.
illustrated.
Yes.
So actually that's a project that I've had for over 4 years. I started this project before creating my blog, so
Oh, that's wonderful.
it was just to empty my head and the very first audience that I wanted to help, the very first people that I wanted to help were little kids.
Kids. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because my heart goes to them. I'm thinking, well, it's very hard for an adult to go gluten or dairy
Yes.
or egg or whatever free. But what about kids?
Kids.
Well, if
Yes.
they are invited to a birthday party or
Yes.
to any kind of event, so they're
Yes.
going to feel left out. So I
Yes.
really
Yes.
wanted them to have their own baking book
Oh,
where they could
wow.
make whatever they wanted and really don't feel like they are missing out. So
Exactly. That's great. Well, certainly reach out to me when you have the book and we'll have you on again. I'd love to chat about that. So, B, tell us again your blog. Where can people find you?
Well, so they can definitely find me on my blog, Go Healthy with Bea, Bea, and also, of course, on Instagram, on Facebook, and that's it.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing all your tips with us for gluten-free. And certainly if anyone wants to do the, gluten-free, that's the perfect blog because it's healthy. Be it has healthy recipes there also. Thank you so much, B. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thank you, Maria, so much for having me today.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks as always to my producer Britton Roselle and this week's special guest Bea Caillet. Hopefully you enjoyed your National Gluten-Free Day, and remember, if you try the recipe that Bea has told us about, or you have some gluten-free recipes to share, please share them in our comment section. Take a photo, share the recipes, hashtag them the Maria Liberati Show on social media, and we will place them on the marialiberatishow.com website. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, on LinkedIn at M Liberati, on the YouTube channel for this podcast, The Maria Liberati Show. You can find many of the podcasts in video, so you can see us also. And let's see. And also, you can find my Gourmand World Award-winning book series at artoflivingprimamedia.com. That's the publisher's website, or Amazon or Kindle, or really anywhere books are sold. That's the Basic Art of Italian Cooking book series. Until next week, peace, love, and pasta.